Hello class, this is lesson 8 from our workbook, and our objective for this lesson is I can represent proportional relationships with equations. You can find lessons starting on page number 30 from your workbook. So some things to remember is that proportional relationships have a constant ratio or unit rate, and the constant ratio or unit rate of y over x can also be called the constant of proportionality. On page 30, where it says discussion notes, I want you to think and jot down some ideas. How could we use what we know about the constant of proportionality to write an equation? Go ahead and pause the video and write your ideas down now. Okay, now we're on page 31 of the workbook, and we are going to take a look at example 1 together. Now the first thing what I see when I look at this is there's a lot of information in this problem. A lot of words. So we want to make sure that we can highlight and annotate our text to understand what the question is asking for. So let's go ahead and read, and as we read, I want you to think about what should be underlined, circled, highlighted in this problem. Do we have enough gas to make it to the gas station? Your mother has accelerated onto the interstate beginning a long road trip, and you notice that the low fuel light is on, indicating that there is half a gallon left in the gas tank. The nearest gas station is 26 miles away. Your mother keeps a log where she records the mileage and the number of gallons purchased each time she fills up the tank. Use the information in the table below to determine whether you will make it to the gas station before the gas runs out. You know that if you can determine the amount of gas that her car consumes in a particular number of miles, then you can determine whether or not you can make it to the next gas station. So what do we know in this problem? Well, we know Mom has half a gallon in her gas tank. Okay, so we'll underline that information. The nearest gas station is 26 miles away. And we want to determine whether or not we can make it to the next gas station. We're also given this data table of Mother's gas record with the amount of gallons and the amount of miles those gallons can drive. So for part A, find the constant of proportionality and explain what it represents in this situation. So we're given some data. Let's go ahead and we're going to make our own data table in part A to help us solve for the constant of proportionality. So we know that our gallons and that's going to represent our x, and our miles driven, which will represent our y, and here we have our unit rate dash constant of proportionality. Okay, so with 8 gallons, Mom drives 224 miles. With 10 gallons, Mom drives 280. And with 4 gallons, Mom drives 112. So let's solve for this, knowing that y over x equals k. Thinking about our equation, y equals k times x. So in this situation, 224 is equal to k times 8. And in order to solve for k, we divide both sides by 8. 224 divided by 8 gives us 28. Let's see if the same holds true for our next example. 280 divided by 10 equals k, which equals 28. And 112 divided by 4 equals k, which also equals 28. So we have a proportional relationship. Okay, so the constant of proportionality, k, is 28. The car travels 28 miles for every 1 gallon of gas. We could also say 28 miles per gallon. So if we wanted to write an equation that will relate the miles driven to the number of gallons of gas, we have our constant and proportionality equation. So y equals k times x, where k is equal to y equals 28 times x. And we could also say m equals 28g. Where in this case, m is equivalent to miles and g is equivalent to gallons. So knowing that there's half a gallon left in the tank when the light comes on, will she make it to the nearest gas station? Why or why not? So, using our equation, m equals 28 times g we know that miles equals 28 times 1/2, because there is half a gallon, which equals 14 miles. We know she must travel 26 miles away, so no, she will not make it because she gets 28 miles to 1 gallon. Since she has 1/2 gallon remaining in the gas tank, I'm going to go ahead and delete part B, just give us more space. Since she has 1/2 gallon remaining in the gas tank, she can travel 14 miles. Since the nearest gas station is 26 miles away, she will not have enough gas. Okay, let's look at part D. Now, using our equation found in part B, determine how far your mother can travel on 18 gallons of gas. Solve the problem in 2 ways, once using the constant of proportionality and once using an equation. So, if we took a look at this, y equals k times x. We could substitute for k and for x. Y equals 28 times 18, which gives us 504 miles. Using our equation, m equals 28 times g. Once again, we substitute g with gallons, which we know is 18. Miles equals 28 times 18, which also gives us 504 miles. Okay, now let's take a look at part E. Using the constant of proportionality and then using the equation found in part B, determine how many gallons of gas would be needed to travel 750 miles. Okay, so we're looking how many gallons. Here's the information we're looking for. So we know our two equations, y equals k times x. Substituting, we know we're looking for y in this case is miles driven, 750 equals 28 times x. Divide both sides by 28 in order to get x by itself. 750 divided by 28 equals x, which also equals 26.8 gallons. If we were using our equation, miles equals 28 times gallons. Once again, 750 divided by 28 is equal to gallons, which is equal to 26.8 gallons. So we would need 26.8 gallons being needed to drive 750 miles. Okay, that's it for example 1 for lesson 8. Stay tuned for the next video for example number 2 from lesson 8.